101.5 FM. It's Kickstart. It's 9 o'clock. So this morning, my good friend Laura Lawrence, she sent me a message and she let me know she's actually a PA, but she said, "Good morning, Gardy. This week is Physician Assistant PA Week in particular. Today is National PA Day, and I just wanted to give a shout out to all the PAs. One of my best friends growing up in school, his sister was a PA, so shout out to you, Amanda. Shout out to Laura and everybody else out there who's working hard in the medical field. We appreciate you all the time, specifically right now. Speaking of people in the medical field and people trying to get people healthy, I got my good friend Dr. Aaron Chapa in studio. Good morning, Dr. Chapa. How are you today?
Good morning, Gardy. How are you? I'm fantastic. Life is good, blowing and going. It has been beautiful the last 4 or 5 days, and I just look forward. I mean, somebody said the other day, we as Texans have earned this beautiful weather, and man, I'm enjoying it. I hope everybody else is too. So good morning. And welcome. Living Well Clinical Nutrition Center loves joining and teaming up with you and what KHEA Radio is doing in the community at large, bringing a message of hope and healing through positivity. So I know that you guys got a lot of things in the hopper and things that y'all are working on to continue that vision and mission. And I'm just excited to be a part of it and add what God's called me to add to it, which is the health component to you being a better version of you, your body's, lining up as God created us to function well, to live well and be well one bite at a time. And I just truly believe that your life can change. So I'm glad that you're tuning in. Today's going to be a fantastic conversation. We're moving in to, of course, the immune system, the immunity. And people go, well, shouldn't we have been talking about that for the last 9 months? We have been in some respects, because what you're going to find today is we're going to talk about the members of your immune system, and you'll find that the members are a lot of the things that we've been discussing over the last several months. We're going to go through the immune system as an overview, kind of give people an idea of like what is the immune system, and check engine lights that you need to be mindful of, and how to stimulate the immune system to work in your favor. So I kind of thought about if I could title this talk, is getting sick really a sign of illness, or is it a sign of purification?
Oh, it's interesting. I've never thought about it that way.
So, I thought it's always we have this idea as Western medical thinkers that illness or getting sick is a sign of illness, like something is wrong. But what if it was a sign of purification? I mean, because if you think about it, you take fire and you light up gold, you burn away the impurities, they call it dross, and all of a sudden the gold begins to show us this beautiful shimmer. And this thing that, we, at first, it doesn't come out of the ground looking like that diamond ring or gold ring on your finger or your necklace or your bracelet or whatever, gold attire you have rolling. And so it's got to be refined. And they call it the refiner's fire. Well, guess what? You look at illness as, or a sickness as maybe a form of purification. I mean, the same way an illness goes into the body, oftentimes it comes out the same way. And so at some respects, as your body is purging trash that is a burden to it, it comes out the skin, it might come out as a rash. Or if it comes out your lungs, it comes out as, a little chest congestion, or maybe a little wheezing, or a little bit of, head congestion, maybe a sneezing attack of sorts. And so we've got to start looking at the body as having a plan. It's not that you just got randomly sick. It's that your body is up to something. It's downloading a piece of software, if you will, from the environment into its hard drive, and it is running a program. And that program could be to your benefit. So first and foremost, we want to be thinking, is sickness really a sign of illness, or is it a sign of purification? Which is it?
Purification sounds way better than illness. Yeah, I'm not sick. I'm not ill. I'm just purifying out all the stuff my body doesn't need. Right?
Hey, see, you already got it, my brother.
Perspective.
It's all about perspective, and perception is reality. And I truly think that our attitude on how we approach the challenges that we deal with time and time again in our day-to-day living, or dealing with health and wellness issues, or your finances, or your spirit life, all comes down to your attitude and perspective. Are you faithful, available, and teachable to to God's word? Are you faithful and available, teachable to the coaches and mentors that are in your life that are pouring into you, trying to help you become a better version? And we've talked about several of these topics over the months past, and the immune system is no different. The immune system, the body really doesn't have an immune system, and I think that is something that people don't really understand. What do you mean? Well, I mean, where your digestive tract is. It's in your belly, right? You know where your heart is. That's like the cardiovascular system. But people don't realize that your cardiovascular system is just as much a part of your immune system as your digestive tract, or your lymphatics, or your liver, or your spleen, or your thymus, or your long bones, or your flora the bugs in your intestinal tract. And we call this the alliance. You see, the immune system is an immune system as a whole, not as an individual part. And that's one of the things that when you look at the body, you don't look at the body as an individual isolated area. You look at it as a whole. And so we use the analogy, what part of the watch tells time, Gardy?
We've kind of talked about this a little bit before, but it's going to be the entire thing. You can't have, you see some clocks without the second hand, and that always tripped me out as a kid, but you need the whole thing.
Yeah.
Right.
But if you take those batteries out, what happens?
It's just going to stay there.
Yeah, it gets stuck. And, or if the second hand is damaged in some respects, it's going to mess up that gearing system, and that process doesn't work. Well, the check engine light there is the watch's cry that it can't tell time. Well, your body gives off check engine lights, and these are cries for nutrition, not symptoms that need to be suppressed. See, we see a fever, and we immediately go, oh, we're getting sick. Let's suppress the fever. Suppression of those symptoms can ultimately rob your body of the learning experience or the purification that it was after, because it got its legs chopped out from under it in going through what it was designed to do. You see, we think we're so smart. Oh, we can manipulate the chemistry. We can stop and suppress the symptoms that God intended to be a good thing. When your immune system is running at a fever, for example, of 101 to 103, the body temperature rise increases the immune system's speed for which it can replicate and mount an attack strategy against bacterium or viruses or pathogens of fungal or mold or whatever foreign agent has come into the body. And all of a sudden, the system is now looking to strategically subdue that pathogen.
I got a question about that. So a lot of the times, whenever your body hasn't been in a situation or you haven't been in a certain scenario before, your body's like, what's going on? I don't know what this is. So if you were treating, every time you get a fever, you take something to suppress it, if you don't, and then you try and feed your body in a way that it hasn't been fed before, is it going to take longer that first time for it to heal? And then as you get, your body gets better at doing it, it's going to figure it out?
So, yes. The simple answer is yes. There's no question. And so what you just said is wonderful that you grabbed hold of that, because we expect when we feed the body it to just be a miracle of change, like instantaneous fix.
We'd hope.
And sometimes that happens. Everything's right where it needs to be, and it is literally just one little change, moves the whole chemistry into a line of balance, and everything works out beautifully. And then we become accustomed to never again do we go without that whatever little saving grace was that got us through that illness. So now it's like your new miracle pill, right? And forgetting that what part of the watch tells time. I mean, the health of the immune system is the health of the whole person. And so when you have an illness for the first time that you've been treating with drugs or antibiotics or steroids for an eon, and you've never fed the body through an illness and let the body mount its own strategic defense system, yes, your body will go, well, somebody's supposed to show up. Somebody's supposed to do this for me. It's like the first time you go to the gym, you're sore, really, really sore. And the second time, you're still really sore. And the third time, well, kind of the soreness is about 75% of what it was. And then the soreness is still there, but now it's 50%. And you get a little better, a little better, a little better, a little better. And, as you continue through that training, the soreness factor is manageable, and the recovery time is faster and faster and faster. And so the same with the immune system. The immune system is a learning system, learning to work together. It's just like a new baseball team coming together. If they don't know how to, if they weren't raised together, played together, think together, and know each other's actions on the field, they're going to be making mistakes, stumbling over plays, and not working together to hit that double play or to get that man out at second base as he's trying to steal and play the games that are necessary. When you look at the alliance members of your immune system, you look at the thymus and you say, well, what's its function? What does the thymus do? It's one of your glandular systems. It regulates T cells. It regulates lymphocyte production. It helps the body mount a defense against foreign invaders. And many people believe that the thymus gland after age, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 is kind of null and void. Like it's kind of served its purpose and you don't really get much more from it. Well, the only reason that is a possibility is through malnutrition. Because why would God put a system in you that, is designed to fight off pathogens or to mount defenses against organisms that aren't helping the body thrive, and let that die off, especially knowing that, Adam was in the Garden of Eden was originally designed to live forever, right? And if he was originally designed to live forever and sin happened, do you think God didn't give us, a system that would be able to deal with the fact that no one gets out of here alive? The fact that a 95-year-old can get a cut on his arm, and the immune system as a whole alliance comes to aid in healing that skin break? Or, if somebody has a internal injury or you get exposed to a bug, a pathogen, that's a common thread these days, that your body can't figure out how to fight that thing off. Well, the thymus gland is mightily important in making sure that happens. For example, all viruses come through the same window. You ready for this? So all this talk about virus, all this talk about viruses in the past, we're going into the flu season coming up. We're getting closer. We're say the 5th, so we're, 26 days out from flu season pretty much starting, right? We know when that day one starts, and it's when, Gardy? It's coming.
It's coming around Halloween, I think.
Yeah,
COVID's
around
leave.
Or right on that night, the next morning, all these sick kids are going to pop up out of bed.
Right.
Yep, the harvest. Well, viruses, and this is important for all who want to build your immune system this winter, this fall, and as they come through the calcium tissue starvation window. So get that, calcium tissue starvation window. So if you're somebody that has growing pains, like your kids have growing pains, they have calcium starvation happening right before your eyes. If they have nosebleeds, they have calcium starvation right before their eyes. If they have Charlie horses or cramps in their legs or feet or arms, or if they have restlessness, and people always accuse me, he must have restlessness because he shakes like a tree.
Legs are shaking.
Yeah. I always think of hippie shake from Elvis Presley or something. I'm just full of energy, man.
Mm-hmm.
I'm just ready to rock and roll, and so I'm trying to stay still long enough in order to talk right into the microphone so people can hear effectively. But calcium tissue starvation causes symptom patterns, check engine lights that are revealing the body's many cries for calcium come through restlessness in the legs, inability to fall asleep at night, inability to stay asleep at night could be a sign. Getting sick a lot, dealing with fevers that won't resolve, dealing with urinary tract infections that won't resolve, dealing with growing pains as kids or babies that are teething. These are all tissue calcium issues. Now, viruses, when they see a weakened tissue response of calcium, like a lack of saturation of calcium in the tissues, man, they have an opportunity to run in and just take root whenever the immune system is, got its back turned because it's not strategically fit enough to have defenses at all around. It doesn't have enough walls up. It doesn't have enough hedges of protection, shields of faith, weapons of warfare yet. Well, that's why Living Well Clinical Nutrition Center is here. So, if you have questions about your immune system and you want to build it up, give us a call, 281-554-8600, or visit our website at justlivewell.com. And remember, your body is an immune alliance, not an immune system. It has multiple systems working together synergistically to build a team that fights off stuff.
It's like the Avengers.
Yes, it is the Avengers. And the spleen, one of the underutilized or under-talked about member of our immune response, helps us produce antibodies. It helps clean our white blood cells that are old, worn out, and beat up. It helps to clean up produce new red and white blood cells and help to make sure that the system is working at an effective level. So, when people have a spleen removed and they think, oh, you don't need it anyway, man, you got to stop thinking like that. What part of the watch tells time?
All of it.
All of it. And so you don't want to miss parts. You don't want to lose parts of your alliance, especially if you plan on going the distance. If you want to be fully functional, activating those longevity genes, if you want to be fully functional in spirit, mind, and body, activating those vitality genes, you want to keep every part of the whole that God gave you.
What if it's already been taken out? I don't have an appendix.
That's right.
It's gone.
And so some people believe the appendix is a useless piece of tissue. Useless?
I tried to keep it, but they
Then
wouldn't let me.
Why does every human have an appendix if it's useless?
Yeah, mine was feeling real bad one day, and they'd said, let's just take this out. And so they did. I tried to keep it just in case we could put it, like the science and technology advanced, we could use it later.
You could freeze it and put it back?
I don't know.
Well, and see, in the appendix, there's a lot of what we call lymphoid tissue. And the lymphoid tissue have these little built-in mechanisms that can eat up pathogens. And when you think about your intestines coming from, you take a hamburger, people like hamburgers, and you take this hamburger and you put it in your mouth and you chew it up. And then it does something inside your stomach you can't really see, but then all of a sudden you get a little bit of this call of the wild, and then you have to run to the potty at some point down the way, and the hamburger seems like it never came out the same way it went in. How? Well, that means that something biochemically changed, that there was some sort of influence, exterior influence, a pressure, a friction on that hamburger that made it change what it looked like going down the hatch as opposed to how it came out. So in that, there is bacteria. So we can just jump right into flora. In your digestive tract, you have healthy flora, and this is bacteria. Healthy yeast. People always think yeast is always bad. It's not. You have a bad flora, a bad bacterium that can overgrow and create issues, and that is a mess. And then you also have bad fungi that build up in the tissues. And when we start looking at the body in this way, we start realizing that these outside influences, that it's a chemistry project. So there's waste and sediment and extra stuff that gets, kicked off. And those extra stuff that gets kicked off typically find their way in your disposal. Well, your disposal is your appendix. It's one of your disposal systems. Then it would, if you will, grind up and chew up these things into more microscopic, less aggressive pathogens, so that it will go into this large intestine further and then be eliminated as, this little weird substrate that we evacuate out of our systems. Some people call it a bowel movement. I call it poop, but whatever, I
was waiting for it.
It
always comes back.
It always comes back.
This month we're talking about immunity, the immune system, and next month you may be talking about bowel movement. I don't know.
I don't know. You never know. It seems like I have a way of always working it into a conversation.
I typed that out in the comment section. It always comes back somehow.
You can see how I was building it up. So, going back to this immune alliance, right? So you got your long bones. What are these guys? They give us new bone marrow production. They produce white blood cells, red blood cells, and they help to manage the way nutrition. Really, ultimately, because of what they produce, they help manage the flow of nutrition. They're like your traffic cops. They're managing traffic coming this way and traffic going this way. They're making sure that we've got adequate, cars. Nothing's getting stopped up in the lines. That traffic jams aren't happening. And these long bones have the ability to produce new marrow, and we can stimulate your body through nutrition. Through products, whether you use like I love a bovine product from Standard Process called Thymus or Thymex, and it is a cytosol extract of the thymus tissue, and it will stimulate your thymus gland. But it'll also, when you mix that with calcium and sesame seed oil, I can activate the long bones, the bone marrow, to produce more white blood cells so that your body has a better, healthier, more active immune response when exposed to these foreign pathogens. We're not just relying on the old, worn out warriors. We got new warriors being produced in high regard that are, they're deadly. And they go out and they see somebody that doesn't belong inside the system, that doesn't match the criterion for which health evolves and the vitality and longevity genes activate. All of a sudden, boom. These youthful, vibrant little long bones producing marrow or white blood cells and red blood cells can come in and serve your body in a really powerful way by having a stronger shield system or a better weaponry system or a better delivery system of nutrition so that your body never is in a position where it's caught unprepared. And I think that it's important to appreciate the immune alliance. And the immune alliance is just a fun conversation because, man, who knew the immune system was so fundamentally simple? And it just starts with just like more than meets the eye. We have our stomach. Many people forget. What does the stomach do? What do you mean the stomach is my immune system? I thought my stomach was just where I had heartburn and reflux and indigestion, right? How many people today are suffering with these ailments? But when you have those ailments, again, check engine lights. These are just your body's cries for help, not that you have real symptoms. So if you have heartburn, indigestion, bloating, and your upper GI system, it just feels like it's full all the time, you got a brick in your stomach after you eat red meat, or you have no taste for protein, like you just don't want it, you're not appetizing in any way, the stomach has a low pH, or should have a low pH. In this case, has a high pH. And what happens is your body can't break down food well, and therefore pathogens, again, bacteria, parasitic, fungal, or viral, have more of a ability to cross through the stomach at a higher pH than they do at a lower pH. And so when the communication from the parotid glands down to the stomach are broken, or the lack of calcium, lack of zinc, lack of essential fatty acids to make sure that the stomach's getting its nutritional needs, it doesn't make enough acid, so then the acid levels rise, and then you start having valvular problems where you have that reflux or that Barrett's esophagus or that burning in your chest, that fire-breathing dragon breath, and that is very uncomfortable. And people go, well, it's every time I eat this, that's the cause. You're right. That's right. You got trigger foods too. So inflammatory foods can drive this stuff. But what if it's simply a nutritional deficiency, which is in most cases, and most people today are being put on antacids. Children, babies, infants that are colicky are even put on antacids, Gardy. Do you realize how deadly, dangerous this is? You're disturbing the way the body digests from infancy. That's not good. We change that chemistry and force the body to do something at 20% capacity instead of 90 or 100% capacity.
Why would a baby even have that? Just random?
Well, no. Well, oftentimes a baby's digestive tract does not fully mature until 26 months anyway. So just so the math is right, that's 2 years and 2 months, right? And so a baby's digestive tract is very fragile. And so it's not fully mature yet whenever it comes out of the womb, and it has a leaky gut. And so the baby's leaky gut issue means that if mom is not breastfeeding, which many, I would say more than 50% of the population are not breastfeeding, which is not ideal. And so don't feel shame, don't feel condemned if you didn't breastfeed your child, or if you wanted to and couldn't. I'm not going there. But here's the deal. The reality is you didn't. And so now we're left to formulas and man-made isolates and fake proteins and make-believe additives and all these what we call deadly additives that oftentimes are in these foods. And now we've got a leaky gut exposed to hard to digest isolated nutrients that aren't really real. Oh, we've talked about this. We know where this is going. Make-believe food leads to what, Gardy?
Leads to make-believe health.
Yeah. So make-believe health shows itself through colic. And, oh, no, it can't be that. Oh, no, it is. I assure you. And even the moms that do breastfeed, and they're like, I'm breastfeeding, I maybe still got colic. I got it. Well, what you don't realize is just because you can get away with a particular eating of food, let's say that, you don't seem to have a reaction whenever you consume a sausage and cheese kolache, but your baby does. And your baby, because you have a baby and you're choosing to breastfeed, and I totally commend that and excited for that. And so is your baby. The proteins and the food sources that you put into your body matter now more than ever. Remember, what you eat, guys, is important at any stage of development. I don't care if you're an infant, a young youth, a teen, a older teen, a young adult. If you're in your late 30s, if you're going into the menopausal, postmenopausal age, perimenopausal age, or even beyond into the 60s, 70s, 80s, and 90s, to live that out, the vitality and longevity, every stage, what you eat's important. The awkward silence, you got that? But what you don't eat is more important. Not putting in the inflammatory foods is so important not to do. So recognizing that if you have symptoms digestively, bloating, gas, brick in your stomach, colic in a child, an infant, if there's rashes popping up and skin issues and anger management and irritability and hormone issues and or you name it, you can probably go look at those 4 deadly food additives and 4 allergic food sources and take those out of your body, which will teach you what those foods are for you. And we'll find foods that are inflaming you right, left, and Sunday. Now, does it mean it's going to be easy and you have to do it forever? I don't know. Hope not. But sometimes you might need to do it for long enough to let your body reboot itself, recalibrate itself, so that the check engine lights aren't engaging and the system starts firing as an alliance, as a well-oiled machine working together for the betterment of you as a whole. That's the end goal. That's where we're going with this stuff. And that's what we get excited about and want people to really, get behind, is the possibility. And then we couldn't have an immune alliance if we don't talk about our liver. The liver's the giver. Of course we would be talking about the liver. Of course, it's important. And so the liver detoxes the body. It gets rid of foreign substrates. And remember, the liver is not a filter. It is, however, a chemical factory. It converts fat-soluble compounds into water-soluble compounds that you can poop out, pee out, sweat out, breathe out. And so it's very vitally important. It gives our digestive system enzymes. It gives it bile. It gives it all kinds of stimulation to make sure that we absorb well, that we assimilate well, that we excrete well, and that we live well. I mean, the liver is truly the giver. But the challenge is, and I would say that we could battle this out over and over again. I even have a chart in my office that I wrestle with all the time. And I know a lot of you are visualizing me wrestling with a poster. But no, really, I talk to it a lot thinking, if I redesigned you in the target, the intestines is the main focus. 80% of all health starts in the gut. I mean, like, if you're sick, your gut's probably wrecked. If you've got autoimmunity, your gut's wrecked. If you've got, health challenges of any kind, your hormones are messed up, your neurotransmitters in your brain are dysfunctional and out of balance, your gut's messed up.
That means like digestion?
Digestion, yeah.
Okay.
So you got leaky gut, or you have absorbing issues. You have digesting issues, stomach issues. You have backup issues in your digestive tract. Well, the reason that I would put liver in the same kind of target, that big bulk target, is because they work so much hand in hand, and they're so vitally important together. But I understand why they take them and isolate them apart, because technically the liver is more of a detoxifier and a provider of enzymes for healthy digestion, not a digestive system, right? But it's just it's an asset to your digestion. But the liver typically finds itself in its own isolated realm, and it's because it can't dump into an already toxic bowel, which is why the roadways have to be clear. So yesterday I was working with a hormone patient and psychology patient that basically it was all constipation. We go all around the history, and we find all these problems that were going on in her, and she's only 40. She's only 40, and it was their gut. I mean, if she doesn't take laxatives, she doesn't poop. Well, if you don't have a bowel movement every day, especially in the morning, within about 10, 15 minutes of waking up, you're late. Your bowels are most active for elimination between 5 and 7 in the a.m. Your stomach then kicks on between 7 and 9. So when you think you should be eating breakfast, 7 and 9. And people go, oh, well, but, I don't do it that way. Well, maybe you should. I mean, just because what you're doing might not be working for you. If you don't like the symptoms that you're dealing with, if you're wrestling with your health in that capacity, guess what? There is a reason. We've got to change the game. So let's start learning about these systems in the body, the alliance as a whole, recognizing our immune system equals the health of the whole person, and let's start feeding you in a different way. And when you start changing the inputs that come in and when they come in, what you'll start observing is changes in your overall health and vitality. And then it gets really exciting because you start really learning that you're in more control of your health picture, vitality-wise and longevity-wise, than you ever thought possible. And that's what message I want to give people. Your life, your health, and here's the important part, your choice, Gardy. Your choice.
I knew that was coming.
You did.
Right now it's 9:33. This is KHEA Radio, 99.5 FM. It's Kickstart. Have Dr. Aaron Chapa with Living Well Clinical Nutrition Center in studio. They have an office in League City. We just got done with this detox and cleanse, which went great. Dr. Chapa's office has been very busy. They have a bunch of new technology that's going in. It seems every week there's new stuff going on.
I'm so glad that you just brought that up. I mean, we just brought in our Zerona 6 fat-burning laser. This thing can disrupt the cell membrane of adipose tissue, which is a very natural process. But the Z6 just speeds it up. And so this laser got 6 different heads on it, and so a head is a laser head. And it is 17.5 milliwatts of power per head, and at 635 nanometers, which is all sciencey, that basically says it helps to regulate the metabolism of a fat cell. It helps regulate the immune activity of a fat cell. It helps regulate the hormonal impacts of a fat cell. And people didn't realize that fats are important. Like this idea that fat is the devil and fat is bad and fat is evil and fat it needs to be destroyed is not the answer. The wonderful thing about the Zerona Z6 laser is that it does not injure fat cells. It does not injure tissue in any way. There's no downtime. It is a quick, easy process where you can actually get some rest. You get it's a 20-minute treatment on the front side of the body, 20-minute treatment on the back side of the body. We focus on targeted areas where we know either metabolically you've got stubborn fats that won't let go of the toxins that they're exposed to. But this laser has the ability to disrupt that cellular membrane and allow toxins that have formerly been stuck in the tissues and allow them to be excreted back into circulation so your body can process it out. And when you bridge the Zerona Z6 fat burning capacity with our nutrition programs at Living Well Clinical Nutrition Center, it's a recipe for success because we can upregulate your metabolism by either working with your endocrine system, your thyroid or your adrenals, or balancing out, your digestive tract and helping to improve the nutritional status where you're, deficient in one area, you're, efficient in now that area of weakness, and your body begins to turn on and function just as if God, created you yesterday and you're brand new and you don't have all that toxic buildup. Then we can detox you and we can move you through processes. We teach 42 days a year detoxification. Why? Because we're constantly being exposed in our air, water, food, and drink that we're putting in retox substances that need to be detoxed out. Yes, your body should be able to handle it, but unfortunately, with the abundance and the onslaught of angles for which these toxins are flowing, your body needs a little extra help. So the Zerona Z6 is an adjunctive technological advancement that helps us eliminate some of that stubborn belly fat. So we would love for you guys, if you have questions, to give us a call, 281-554-8600, and get some information, man. I mean, it's a tool that helps you in the process of getting healthy, staying healthy, and we're seeing some great results with it. We're really excited to see people going through that process, and I truly believe that, all the technology that we bring in, it fits inside with the model. It's no drugs, no surgery. It helps the body function like God created it to function so that you can live a better version of yourself day in and day out.
So we're talking about the immune system all month long. It's the first week of October. Just got through the detox. A lot of people start to deal with the flu, and the different sicknesses that come after we kind of overload with candy a little bit. So we were going through all of the different pieces, the different parts of the immune system.
Yeah.
And so we hit the stomach, the liver, long bones. Are these part of them? Did we go through all of them? How many are there?
Yeah. So we went through all of those, and there's more actually, but we just decided to just kind of pick on the lymphatics. We could talk about the lymphatic system. I truly believe that, if you had an immune challenge going on in your body right now, whether it's autoimmunity of any kind, digestive distress of any kind, if it was allergies, sinus issues, earaches, tonsillitis, whatever, if I could grab hold of your lymphatic system, take them out of your body, and then pop them against, a brick wall and like dust them like you would a rug, and put it back in your system, within 5 to 7 minutes, I believe that you would be symptom free. And why? Because the lymphatic system is like a trash elimination system. Well, the lymphatic system doesn't have pumps, and it doesn't move like your cardiovascular system does. That being said, one of the things that we have to do with that system is we have to make certain that your lymphatics are getting adequate hydration. You need to be drinking 32 ounces of water per 50 pounds of body weight to make sure the bowels are moving and make sure the lymphatics are moving. And I could sit here for days and just kind of, how like in the olden days, they would do like a 24-hour marathon, lock themselves in the radio station and just run the same song over again to make a message. I could literally do that over water, and nobody would listen. They would just turn me off because there's so many different outlets. But here's the reality. Water is such an important thing that you need to be doing, and water is it's so easy.
Can we do that?
I would love to.
Okay, 24 hours, one day.
Just talk about water all day.
Water.
I mean, and it's literally so sad to see dehydration running rampant. It's so your lymphatics are dry, your digestive tract is dry, your liver's brittle. I mean, your system is falling apart all because you're not drinking adequate water. And people go, well, what about herbal teas, caffeine-free teas? Yes, that's water. That can be classified. What about the Ultima, the electrolyte refresher drink that's healthier and better than all your sport drinks that we have at our office? Absolutely, that would be classified as water because we're trying to put nutrients in. We're trying to help your body flush and restore those cells back to plump, communicative grapes that make those systems, the nervous system and the body communicate together, right? If the brain tells your cells to do a job and the cell doesn't listen, how frustrating is that? You think, wait, is he talking about my kid? No, not talking about your child. I'm talking about the cells in your body.
But it's frustrating either way. So that's the way.
That's right.
It's an easy way to relate the situation.
True.
Yeah.
And so we could even talk about the Immune Alliance being a part of the nervous system, the brain, and how the brain adequately targets the tissues to respond. That's why when you look at products that we use on the office, like I always say, when in doubt, immunologically, Congoplex it out. People go, what did he just say? When your immune system is weak and you have symptoms that you don't like, that's what immunological patterns, kind of vocabulary there. Congoplex is a product we use from Standard Process that has calcium lactate, which is one chemical reaction away from being used because calcium doesn't exist in an active, state. It has to be converted. That's why you have to have good digestion because you got to convert it, cleave it, use it, and assimilate what you need so that it activates the immune system. That calcium is the most robust mineral in the immunological army, and then the ribonucleic acid that's found in that product is a RNA substrate that is a cellular transcription regenerator. It helps the nervous system get healthy neurological stimulation so that the cells are equipped to command. So when the brain tissue is in leadership position, it has to command lower cell systems to do their job.
Here's a question real quick. This came from Tammy, and it's on topic about the Congoplex. She said, do we up our calcium if we're starting to have symptoms of sickness or virus, or is it in the Congoplex and Viroforce? And another question, can you take those two products together?
You can take them together, no question, because you're targeting upregulating of the system alliance as a whole. And you can then target the immune system to say, hey, I need you to focus on the viral patterns that are typically floating around using something like Viroforce, which is going to be, a lot of astragalus and a lot of other nutrients that herbs that help kind of push the system towards looking for these viral responses in the body, and then it mediates that. And so, you could even increase your calcium lactate because think about it. Even though you're fighting an infection this morning, do you still have processes that have to be done? The bills got to get paid even though today's, sun came up, right? Like there's always a deadline. And so your immune system needs what it needs and it will take what it needs. But so does the muscles. They need what they need, so they're going to try to get some. Then your digestive system needs some, and then the calibration of other tissues in the brain to make sure that your brain doesn't run off the rails and have racing thoughts or anxious thoughts, and that's typically what people have whenever they have those symptoms as a calcium deficiency. Their mind just goes nuts on them, and they just and they can't slow down enough to prioritize. So by putting in that extra calcium, putting in the Congoplex, and putting in something like Viroforce, now what you've done is you've put in raw materials in a bonus. There is calcium in the Congoplex, but you could put in a little extra calcium in order to support the immune system. Then the Congoplex is going to come in with 4 components: brain food, calcium, so overall support, digestive support. Why? Because the digestive system is your floating immune system. It's huge. It's very vital to the process, and that comes through a product called Cataplex AC, which is a vitamin A, vitamin C product. And then we have, of course, the thymic upregulation, the thymus gland that we spoke of earlier. And so then you follow that up with the herbs and Viroforce, and now you've got a system that has been fed and a system that has been stimulated, coached, if you will, to go target a particular pathogen that you may be dealing with. And then you're not having to do the thinking. You're allowing the body, as God designed it, to do the strategic warring on the foreign pathogens trying to come in at us.
You said something earlier that reminded me of a simpler time. You said, well, just because, you get some symptoms, there's still other things your body needs to do. I remember back in the day, I used to wear it as a badge of honor. Like, I got a scratchy throat. I'm still going to work. I'm fine. I got work to do.
Got work to do.
Now that's frowned upon.
That's right.
If you are sick, please stay home and make sure you take care of that and everything else, right? So with people, with the seasons changing and the candy coming and all of the sugary goodies that are coming, what kind of symptoms should we be looking for? I know we call them check engine lights. When something comes up, it's like, well, something's going on. This isn't right.
So when fevers obviously are one of your check engine lights. But when we're talking about mineral deficiencies, a simple check engine light that's often overlooked and just a massive inconvenience is a canker sore, fever blisters. If you find yourself chronically dealing with canker sores or fever blisters, you have a need for vitamin D, vitamin F, and calcium. And people go, I've heard of D, I've heard of calcium. What's this F you speak of? And Cataplex F comes from your fats. It's essential fatty acids. It's oftentimes very concentrated in an organic, healthy butter. It is in all of your fats that you take in. It provides a healthy amount of vitamin F, and vitamin F is a cofactor carrier molecule, which is why it's in every protocol that I put on my patients, is to make sure that they're saturated in these nutrients. Vitamin F is a taxi service to make sure calcium has a means of transport.
Is that the Omniforce, or is that something else?
No, that would be the Omega Force.
Omega Force,
close,
that's what it is.
Close. I was like, Omniforce, that's a cool name. I should find a way to use that.
Omniforce for something, I don't know.
Yeah, that's right. It'll come to me, though. That's I have an idea. But canker sores and fever blisters are oftentimes simply just a need for, again, I hate to say, calcium, and making sure that the delivery mechanisms are in place. And then the vitamin D has the ability to unlock the cells and make sure that you get adequate delivery. So it's one thing to deliver the stuff, but if I don't bring it into the house, it doesn't technically get used, right? So we don't want it just to build up outside and not be used. We want to make sure it gets into this tissue. And then so when we're looking at, like, if your ears are plugged up or ringing, we look at things that your body has burdens that is causing it to malfunction. All right, well, how can we regulate that? We could chew up Thymex, which again is a cytosol extract for your thymus gland, produces more white blood cells, helps your body go after these infections. When you chew it up, it goes straight through the buccal mucosa, into the sinus cavities, into the inner ear, into the eustachian tube, and cleans up all of what we call the high lymph system, that collarbone and up. All that lymphatic tissue. We take the stress and pressure off your brain. Now your brain thinks more clearly. Your immune system is more functional. Your eyes can see more clearly. You can start smelling again. And it is an amazing way to clear out all those lymphatic swelling or that neck tension that you have built up by the end of the day that could be just gunk that your body was unable to get rid of. And so Thymex is a really, cool, powerful product for that. And then, we come in with things like Immuplex. Whenever we have these as well, because Immuplex has the spleen components, has the liver components, has some iron in it. It has some blood building support in it and antiviral support in it that helps your body go after different types of infections. So if you came in with strep or staph, for example, we don't treat, we don't cure, we don't diagnose conditions at Living Well. We just support the immune system and feed it. That's what we're doing, guys. We're feeding your body and allowing your body to learn strategies on how to go and figure out this stuff on its own. We're not going to sit around and wait for a steroid. We're not going to sit around and wait for this next strongest antibiotic or the next newest, latest, and greatest vaccine. We're going to trust that God gave us the tools. God gave us the abilities in our body's chemistry makeup to go fight off the junk that we're exposed to, whether pathogenic or chemical exposure of any type or kind.
So going back to the title of this show, what's the difference between getting sick and what's the difference with illness? Like sick and illness, what's the difference?
Yeah, so if you're on a detox, or if you've ever done keto and you experience what we call the keto flu, or you felt feverish, achy whenever you were on a detox, that purification process is your body releasing the old junk that has been stored up, stockpiled, because your body stores toxins in the brain. It stores, and the toxins, just by definition, anything that your body cannot use. Okay, so if your body releases it, it has to go back through circulation and be reprocessed by the liver, the spleen, the kidneys, the digestive tract, and eliminated appropriately, right? So if you have symptoms, these feverish-like symptoms, these achy joints, these achy muscles, these tender areas, trigger points that pop up, neck stiffness, shoulder tension, headaches, the sinus pressures, things like that, oftentimes could be mistaken for, I always get those. No, you don't always get those. Those are just your weak link in the chain. And you change something if you were on a detox or you were going through a health cleansing, what we call a healing and repair process in our body. It's our step 2 in our 5 steps to health. at Living Well Clinical Nutrition Center, when we do corrective and strengthening tactics, we sometimes see people go through a small healing crisis. We coach them through it. We prepare them. We tell them on the front end, hey, you may have symptoms that you didn't have before. For example, one of the things that we do to strengthen the immune system is we reduce the burdens that are enabling the body to handle them. So, symptom management is working towards life repair. We want the body to repair itself over and over faster than it degenerates. And the way we do that is we deburden. So I have patients all the time come in, and then I'll take them off of a food allergy. And I'll tell them, don't be shocked when you get constipated. Don't be shocked if in the next 6 to 8 weeks you start experiencing symptoms of illness. It's going to feel like the flu. It's going to feel like a cold. It's going to feel like congestion. And when that happens, please don't run and jump on an antibiotic. Don't go get on steroids. Call me first. Why? Because I will need to coach you through what that means. That's your body purifying itself, cleansing itself. It's normal and it's healthy. And so that is the illness versus sick, illness or sick versus illness versus purification process when you go through the healing journey. The healing journey is if your body locked it away, when it releases it back into circulation, it's as if it just got exposed to your body that day. And so a lot of times, if you don't have a strong mineral base, so you don't have adequate minerals, we use a product called Mineral Force for that. You don't have good fats, vitamin F, vitamin D, omega 4s. If you don't have these things, and then we start pressing your body to eliminate waste, or we take out inflammatory burdens, your body starts detoxing faster. So if I open up the floodgates in channels and get your 2-lane highway back to a 6-lane highway, your body gets real excited and it starts says, oh, light at the end of the tunnel. All right, go, 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 go. It's like the third base coach going, go home, go home. And it's going home means go into the bowels and get excreted, right? So the body's dumping as fast as it can. So you have this process happening. Just by removing an inflammatory burden like a food allergy, your body does the same thing. And people get constipated all the time. And when we see that, we have to help them notice that that is not sick. You're not sick. You're just been re-exposed to those old toxins, and we got to get them out of there. And when that happens, that reduced burden is a sign of purification.
It almost seems like either way, there's going to be some uncomfortableness. You're either going to stay on the path that you're on and be uncomfortable, or you're going to potentially cleanse that stuff out, be uncomfortable for a bit, but hopefully heading towards the right path.
And not hopefully, you will be. I mean, whenever you go through the process of purification and you allow the cells to purge old unwanted debris, it's just like, if you drop glass in your kitchen, on your kitchen floor. This happened to me while I was on the detox. I had this wonderful chia pudding that we had made, and literally, I don't know, I just opened the refrigerator and just decided just to pull it out and throw it on the ground. I don't know. I mean, that was what was going to happen that morning. Of course, I was late for everything that morning. I mean, I couldn't even get it going. And that happens, right?
Yeah.
But did I leave the glass there? Say, I'll deal with that later. I immediately, found the dustpan, I had my shoes on already, but I made certain that I swept up the area because I got little kids that run around with pitter-pattering with bare feet, and I don't want, blood trails when I come home that afternoon. I don't want, people to go through unnecessary suffering because, I had a blunder. Well, your body is the same way. Well, if it stored it away in the refrigerator overnight, saying, I'll get to it tomorrow, and then you open the refrigerator and it jumps out and blows up on the ground, it's a mess. That's detoxification, right? Sometimes it's messy. But when you allow the body to clean that up, it's a little inconvenient, but that inconvenient is, in the analogy that I just gave you, doesn't really have a good ending because I had to throw it all away. But in your body, it's health and wellness on the other side. It's activation of vitality, and it's which vitality, by the way, is the vim, vigor, and vip. It's the energy. It's the alertness. It's the activation of the next phase, the longevity, living life fully functional in spirit, mind, and body, where you're thinking clearly, you're thinking about vertical matters, relationship with Jesus, as opposed to just your horizontal dealing with, today's urgencies that keep popping up over the important. And that's fun in the health response. And it comes through reducing those immune burdens.
So, what would prevent us from falling ill? Did we talk a little bit about this earlier?
No.
Okay.
So what would prevent us? We don't build up the body's tolerance against foreign invaders. We're not training the body like you mentioned earlier. You referenced a little part of it, but like if we never go to the gym, we're never going to be fit. If we never go run and push our bodies beyond some sort of physical level of fitness, you're never going to get fit, right? So to what causes people to fall ill to the common cold and to different situations is they didn't build the body's tolerance against foreign invaders. They didn't allow the body to learn to be proactive. The body wants to be awesome. The brain wants to be awesome. It is awesome, but it also wants to be protective. It wants to be preventative. It never wants to be reactive. And so if we can help the people see that nutrients increase your body's tolerance, nutrients, vitamins, minerals, essential fatty acids, nutrients gradually decrease the load of burdens on the body. Nutrients increase the body's ability to properly handle the life's challenges. We now prevent the ails of that are coming at us.
So let's say we didn't prevent it and we start to feel really bad. Is that just it? I mean, what can we do then?
Well, just like we've always said, anything that your body can develop, it can also what?
It can undevelop.
It can undevelop. And now, is there a too late? Of course, but most of the time it's not. Most of the time you got time. If you allow us to feed you, if you allow us to deburden you, if you allow us to build you up, Living Well Clinical Nutrition Center, that's what we do at our office. And we teach people, we coach people, we give people plans. We find the gradient that they're willing to go down to make 1 degree of change. We don't want it to be hard. Sometimes it is. A lot of the things we teach is really, really simple. It's just not always easy to integrate because it's foreign to you. It's like a new skill. But we don't want you to wish for less problems. We want you to wish for new skills or get new skills. And we're at Living Well Clinical Nutrition Center are a wealth of new skills that you can integrate into your personal life, your family's life, which will integrate into your generational seed life downstream. And that is a wonderful place to be because when we get talking next week about vitamins, minerals, more of these essential fatty acids, you're going to see how simple this is. But we referenced a few today, Congoplex, Imuplex, Cataplex AC, making sure the bowels are moving, making sure that the thymus gland is working, making sure that you have adequate minerals, mineral force, omega force, looking at the different keys, ingredients, and seeing, are there inflammatory foods coming into my diet? Are there inflammatory food ingredients that need to come out of my diet? Am I drinking enough water? Again, I can go back, and I'm telling you, I can preach on it all day, and because people just don't realize or appreciate how easy it is. And sometimes we make things just really challenging and tough. We want things to be harder than it really is. And so, at Living Well Clinical Nutrition Center, we want to be your health advocate, the best coaching system to help you move forward, be better, stay better, one bite at a time. We believe that we offer something really special to help people move through the journey of health and wellness. We're going to love you through the process. We're never going to condemn you or make you feel bad about, the choices you're making. We're going to just help you right where you're at. We are here to be your team, not to be, somebody that's making you feel less than your best. We want you to walk away feeling, encouraged. I can do that. I can make 1 degree of change. I can make 1 stride. We always said the difference between the winners and the losers is what? 1 more step. And we truly believe that when you choose living well, you're choosing the winning team, and you're going to do great things with your life, health-wise. And so I believe that's going to infiltrate into your spirit life. That's going to infiltrate into the vitality of how you serve your fellow man, how productive you are in the workplace, and every aspect that we tackle. And so visit us at justlivewell.com. Give us a phone call, 281-554-8600, and make sure you mark your calendars for October 27th. We have a great immune boosting class because we know right around the corner is going to be the challenges of Halloween and the candies and the flu season starting on the 1st. I know we haven't heard much about the flu. Apparently Corona cured that for the year, but then it'll come, full circle. We'll see it again.
What if this would be an interesting science experiment. If like all the cities are like, no trick-or-treating, no candy, they shut down all these things, and then they find out like, wow, flu was at an all-time low this year.
They would.
That's weird.
But here'd be the problem. The candy industries wouldn't. They would lobby against that, I think, I hate to say. And then I think it'd be a great experiment. I mean, what if? I mean, that's what I'm telling you. When you see the immune challenges rise up in schools and stuff after Halloween, it's because the immune system will be paralyzed for 8 hours post the candy insult they're going to get on trick-or-treat night.
Yeah.
And so another great important date, we got a clinician chili cook-off. We're all going to be from 11 to 5, October 29th. We're going to be having which clinician at the office can cook the best chili. I'm a little nervous.
What day is that?
October 29th. I knew I had you at chili and cook-off. I knew I had you there. And then, of course, Mommy Meetup is October 12th from 9 to 11 a.m. So make sure you mark your calendars. October 27th, 6:30 for the immune class. October 29th, the clinician chili cook-off, 11 to 5. And then October 12th, Mommy Meetup from 9 to 11.
October 29th is a Thursday. You had me at chili, and then you had me at cook-off. That sounds like it's right up my alley.
Well,
I appreciate this.
I'm excited. So we make living well fun, and we want you to make sure that if you're going to live well, you might as well stay well one bite at a time through Living Well Clinical Nutrition Center. So God bless all you guys. Love listening to all y'all's comments and questions. Have a blessed week. God bless you.
This is KHEA Radio, 99.5 FM. It's just after 10 o'clock. Coming up next is United on KHEA Radio. This is Relentless. Social media.